We all know four verticals, whether it's six, whether it's four verts, whether it's four verticals, however you call it. If you're a spread coach and you run four verticals, you're going to want to check this out because I also take the four vertical concept and I institute the choice route into the four vertical concept to make that play that much more lethal. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. By instituting the choice route with the four vertical concept, you are taking advantage or making it that much easier for your receivers and your quarterback to get on the same page to take advantage of the space that the defense is giving you. You hear coaches like Patrick Taylor talk about the open grass reads. That's genius because it gives the quarterback the opportunity to read the defense and take advantage of the space, that open window where the defense is not. And it gives the receivers the opportunity to also read the defense and figure out where I can take advantage of this defender, whether it be an overhang, whether it be a safety or a corner. Go to where the defense is not. Take advantage of that space. So now all receivers have at least two routes. Some receivers have three routes, and I'm going to show you that here in a breakdown to take advantage of those open windows where the defense is not. Because again, with this play, you are taking advantage of space, whether that space is over the top or whether that space is underneath. You are giving the receivers and the quarterback the option to run a simple hitch play or a vertical play based on where the defense is not. Those are very simple. If your defender is 7 yards or more off the ball, you are running a hitch. If that defender is 7 yards or more in, then you are running an outside release vertical, getting vertically stacked over that defender and getting to the grass behind him, and it's basically a foot race at that point. Tell your receivers every single time that their routes, no matter what it is, has to be a vert till it's not. They need to sell their vertical route, make that defender turn his hips, make that defender think that every single route is going deep because you want that defender either to back up or keep on running to create even more space underneath. A lot of coaches talk about one missed tackle away from a huge play, and this is exactly what this play is all about. Because think about it like this. If you have an outside receiver who's one-on-one with a corner, and that corner is sitting about 10 yards off the ball, receiver knows that he's gonna be running a hitch, he still needs to sell his vertical, he sells that vertical, he runs hard for 3 to 4 steps, breaks that route down into a hitch, catches the ball, and now he's one-on-one with the corner, makes the corner miss, and he is up the sideline for 80 for a touchdown. It's one missed tackle away, so everything needs to be on point as far as understanding where your grass is and understanding your rules, and then selling the route and making sure the route is 100%. And it's all about repetition and practice, but it's a very, very easy concept to understand once you rep it, once you repeat it. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to show you drills that I use in my practices that help get quarterbacks and receivers on the same page. Things to remember about the choice route. It's about attacking leverage. You want to attack the leverage where the defender is not. So again, receiver comes to the line. When am I open? Am I open right now? If so, I'm going to turn around and run a hitch. If I'm not open right now, I'm going to get to my outside release. I'm going to get vertical. I'm going to restack my defender, and I'm going to get to the grass that is provided behind the defense. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Head coach Patrick Taylor here in North Carolina talked about open grass reads and talked about taking advantage of the space where the defense is not in the four verticals concept. And essentially that is choice routes and combining four verts with the choice philosophy, but making it more so than just throwing to one receiver at a time. You have the option, the quarterback has the option to say, where's my easiest throw and where is the defense not? Rules. The rules with the choice routes is simple. Rules are, is your defender 7 or more yards off the ball? If they are, you're going to run a hitch. If they are not, like this defender right here, you are running an outside release vertical and getting vertical. So based on this, X would run a hitch, H would run a hitch, Z would have the only vertical in this formation, Y would run the hitch. Now, quarterback's job, based on this pre-snap alignment, who is open right now and who is the easiest throw I can make. Right now, you have 3 receivers that are technically open right now. So where's the easiest throw? The quickest throw right here is to our H receiver. So he's essentially going to just catch the ball, turn and throw and get the ball to that receiver as quick as possible. Down this alignment right here, X, outside release, getting vertical. H, again, has a space right here for a little hitch. Z, outside release, getting vertical. Same thing with Y, outside release and getting vertical. So based on this alignment, who's open right now? Again, H is open right now based on the choice route that he's given the option to. So in a perfect world, us as coaches would like nothing more than to have the easiest read for our quarterback and our receivers, where each defender is sitting 7 yards back and the quarterback could just sit there and pick apart the defense by just throwing hitches all day and letting our playmakers catch the ball in space and making moves in the open field and getting upfield. However, we know that's not always the case. So you have a scenario similar to this where you have a single high and you essentially have press man across the board. Well, what do? Again, rules still apply. Outside release, getting vertical. Make that a little bit better. Same thing here. Outside release, getting vertical. Outside release, getting vertical. Outside release, getting vertical. Now, what we do now is what we read is the quarterback then needs to read the safety. If we have all 4 receivers going vertical, quarterback needs to read this safety. So essentially what we tell him to do is read the safety and see if he goes left to our left, we throw to our right to the slot receiver running up the seam. If the safety goes to his left, to our right, we are trying to hit this vertical. So essentially it is, if we see this kind of a press coverage here, we are looking seam, back. So then again, have the running back on a swing route to either direction, does not matter. So you're looking slot, back based on this kind of alignment. This is where the choice route, especially with the slot receivers, becomes that much more lethal, because this is typically the kind of leverage or kind of coverage or alignment that we typically see. And so now we can institute a little bit more of a option route for the receiver. So this takes a little bit more of a read for the quarterback, because we have to read this defender a little bit, because if this defender is in this general area and this receiver wants to run a hitch, this defender here technically can move into that window and get in front of that hitch throwing lane. So if that is kind of in that no man land, this receiver needs to read that and say, my hitch is technically taken away because this defender is a little too far outside and can take away that hitch. So now he needs to get vertical, but this is where it changes a little bit. So he's going to get vertical. Now, based on what this defender right here does, and the rule is simple. If this defender stays to the inside of my route, if he stays to the inside of my route and stays inside the hash, I'm just going to continue to get vertical up the seam. But if this defender is wide and then bust even further out wide, now my option is to then post that in the middle. And if this defender somehow stays head up and just continues to fall back, not letting this defender basically get inside or outside, but stays even with the receiver, then the receiver has the option to hitch that up into this space, working for the space and looking for the window where this defender is not. So if this defender fades more outside, he's going to break that route in and sit into this window where the quarterback can see him. Because essentially this safety has capped off the route. He can't get vertical. He can't technically get a post because the safety is in a position where he could jump the post. So he breaks his route off and he sits down into this window at about 10 to 12 yards, looking for space with his hands up. That is a third option route that we like to use with our slot receivers. To give you a quick alignment look right here to show you, based on this alignment, we have press on the outside here. So both receivers are going to run their outside release vertical. They're going to get vertical up the seams here. Right now, this linebacker moves more inside. So now the safety is responsible. So now this is the grass we want to attack right here. So he's just going to simply just run a hitch right here. And it's an easy pitch and catch. And this is how 4 verticals can either turn into a choice or 4 verts. As you can see, based on this leverage, based on this play right here, you can see to the wide side, they are covering 3/2. So right now, numbers advantage doesn't necessarily point to throwing to this side. So we look to the boundary here, and as you can see, there are 2 over 2. So where's the space based on the forwards choice philosophy? Where's the space? Both receivers technically should run hitches, and they do, but this is an example also of taking an easy play, giving it the choice route, giving that simple little hitch, and letting your playmakers do what they do in the open field and turning a 5-yard throw into a very, very big gain. Another example by alignment based on the choice route, based on the forwards concept. Take advantage of the space that the defense is giving you. So therefore, I run a hitch up here based on the leverage that the safety is giving us. And a small little throw again turns into a big gain. So the choice drill that I like to use, very, very simple drill. You can keep adding to it as you go along. So the way it works is we are teaching the receivers to recognize when they are open and when they can either break off their route into a hitch or keep pressing it vertical to find the grass behind. So, and then we also add in the slot receivers, and this helps the quarterbacks and the receivers get on the same page. So we'd start off maybe just one receiver. We would do the 2 outside receivers. So we would have X, you'd have a quarterback. You can even do this with 2 centers, both your quarterbacks. If you want, you can have them interchange. We'd have our Ys over here, and we would have a defender out here. So a corner, and we would tell this defender, we would have them interchange, the receivers the same thing, interchange. Either give him a softer look, which almost looks like a cover 3 or a cover 4 look, where you are giving that cushion up front, or get into more of a press look, so you're maybe showing maybe a cover 2, and give this receiver a read. Quarterback, same thing, give the quarterback a read. So we tell the receivers, where is your grass? When are you open? Are you open in front of the defender, or are you open behind the defender? So based on this defender's pre-snap alignment is going to determine what route that receiver runs. So again, the rule we have is 7 yards or more. They need to visualize that. Again, with repetition, that gets easier. So 7 yards or more. If he's back 7 yards or more, then this receiver is going to run about a 4-step hitch. He's going to hitch up in that grass right there. If that corner happens to come down, then that hitch turns into a vertical. He needs to restack his defender, and he needs to get to the grass behind the defender. And so we have the corners interchange that kind of alignment, so they're not just doing the same thing over and over again. And sometimes you got to get on them about that to just remind them to make sure that you are giving the receiver a look. Again, this is an offensive drill, not necessarily a competition drill. We do have the corners run with the receiver just to give a little bit more of a competition as far as getting used to having that defender with you and getting used to having to restack that defender. By restack, I mean he's getting in front of the defender, not staying to the side, because that makes it an easier throw for the quarterback. So we would go fire off the left side, fire off the right side if you're only doing one quarterback. So if you only had one quarterback, you would throw to the left, we would then throw to the right, and we would just keep going back and forth, interchanging. But if you use 2 quarterbacks, you can do it this way. Then you can have him fire off the same side. He can have to run his hitch and vertical. Then you'd have the quarterback switch. Now there's no running backs here. We typically do this drill as an indie period where the running backs were, I'm sorry, not indie period, but a group period where the running backs might be with the offensive line and they are working on, whatever run scheme we are working that day, whether it's inside zone, counter, power, it doesn't matter. And they are getting used to running behind the line, reading blocks, hitting the holes, things like that. So this is purely a quarterback receiver drill here. Now, one thing we also do is then we add in the slots. So we'd add in the slot receivers, and we would put a safety here. And this is where the choice even gets a little bit better. So the choice we give here, and we tell the slots, again, if you have this much space, your grass is right here. So you can just hitch up and there's your easy throw. And then you're pitching up, and then you're turning upfield, tight turning and getting upfield and making your first guy miss. If the safety happens to come down, now you have to read the safety. The quarterback has to read the safety. And so what he can do is then, based on what that if that safety keeps that receiver on his inside. So in other words, if the safety busts to the outside this way, then this route then turns into a post. So now the receiver says, okay, that safety is the outside trying to keep the inside. I'm going to post in the middle and try and split the middle of the field. So then that's where his grass is. That's where he's going to be open, and that's where he's going to get the ball. If that safety happens to keep him on the outside and wants to protect the middle of the field, then that receiver continues running that seam route. And so then we hit the grass here in this window. And so that's how we use choice. And that's a very easy drill that we do. So again, just reading the safety. Now there is one variation that we also do with this. So we kind of add it in, we kind of switch it up. But having choice, getting them used to reading that defender, reading where the grass is. Again, you need to emphasize, where are you open? You have to understand. Receivers especially have to get used to pre-snapping their first defensive player that's in front of them. So change up this drill, just dealing specifically with the slots. So we'd have our H here. We would have our safety, but then we would give an overhang too. So now the receiver has a few things to worry about, has a few things to read. Same with the quarterback. Okay. Based on this kind of alignment, our rules kind of don't necessarily change, but obviously with that linebacker right there sitting in that kind of a throwing window, the hitch now is dead. So that receiver knows I cannot run that hitch because I am not open right now. Again, one of the biggest things with our four verts and our, combining that with the choice is he needs to decide, when am I open? He knows he's not open right now. The quarterback should know, based on this alignment, that receiver is not open right now. So, okay, so what's it going to take for me to get open? So then he's obviously going to start his seam, but instead he pre-snapped his linebacker. Now he's reading the safety. Again, same thing. Same thing. If that safety busts to the outside, then he's going to post it to the middle of the field. If that safety stays inside, it's going to continue up the seam. Now, if that safety basically stays head up with him, it doesn't really give him that inside-outside read, but just kind of bails out into a deep cover 2 or cover 4, then what that receiver can do is now cap off his seam route and come in on a comeback. But now, based on where that linebacker is, he needs to float to find that open window. So he would float into that space right here. Quarterback would see it, and he'd hit it right there. Based on where this linebacker is. That linebacker sits here, then he floats into more of the middle of the field. If that linebacker stays more in the middle, kind of covers this potential zone right here, then that receiver can hitch it up and then kind of float away from where that defender is and find that open window. So essentially, we have 3 reads on our slot routes here. So essentially, there are 3 reads for the slot receiver on these. So in this drill right here, this part of the drill, essentially there are 3 reads for our slot receivers that they have to get used to and they have to read. When we go through this type of drill, we would have all 4 receivers. We would put the defenders in there, and we would have the quarterbacks throw to the outside. They both throw to the outside, then they would both throw to the inside. So we would, when we go through this drill, they're not just reading the whole field. We are forcing them to throw this throw, forcing them to get used to making those reads if they have to. Okay, so that they get used to seeing them. Now, obviously, when we go in a team or something like that, when we call this play against our scout defense or our actual defense, the quarterback has the option to make all the reads he needs necessary. So if he has that quick hitch, essentially what we want to try and do, unless it's a situation where we have to go deep, we want to hit the hitch every time. So we are looking for the easiest throw. So naturally, a lot of times we don't necessarily have to hit all this post or this seam up the middle, because somewhere on the field, we're going to get that hitch, we're going to get that easy throw. And we emphasize all the time that, especially to our outside receivers, you are one missed tackle away from a huge play. So get used to running those hitches, get used to making a tight turn and getting up the field. And this all is about repetition. You can go fast with this drill, very, very fast with this drill. You can get a lot of reps, and this does pay off. Remember, take advantage of the space the defense gives you. Space in front, space behind, does not matter. You have the choice route, you have the hitch, you have the vert, you have the inside post for the slot receivers if you need it. It's a great concept to have into your offense. It's a great philosophy to have. So hats off to Coach Patrick Taylor and other coaches who've come up with the idea that I've stole. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you in the next video.